Technique 1, sweep picking. Right. Sweep picking is generally considered to be one of the hardest techniques to learn in heavy metal. And the reason being is it takes tons and tons of coordination between your right hand and your left hand, because you're playing it very fast, but you have to play the notes exactly in time. So the technique requires you to play, well, it's like a drag the plectrum across either 2 or more strings at a time in a single motion, but not in a strumming motion. So it's like, so you're sort of like a halfway house between picking and strumming. After you hit the note, the plectrum lands on the next string and gets ready, so you can get a constant drag through. So just show you the picking you have to do. And then when you apply this to an arpeggio shape, and we'll start with 3 strings because this is easiest, and it'll be the second inversion, D minor, so up an octave. So it's A, D and F. So what you try to do is drag the plectrum across the arpeggio, and each time take your finger off the note after you've played it, so the notes don't bleed into each other, so you don't get that sound, because that sounds like that's a strum, it's a chord, so you want to hear 3 individual notes. And then normally what you do is take the octave, so 8 notes higher, so A up and high E here, pull off, and then come back down. So, and that's how we sweep pick. That's the general idea. But the picking strokes I'm actually doing here, it goes down, 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 up, pull off, up, and then I'm back to down. So if I'm playing groups of 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And use a little bit of light palm muting. And you can just rest your hand against the string so that the notes pop out more, and it also sort of stops the bleed a little. But that way you hear, but not in the high notes, so you can pull off. And that's how to sweep pick. And when you get used to this technique, getting both hands perfectly coordinated so that you hear each note, then you can get gradually play them fast, and I'll show you how this is played fast. And the thing that's important there, when I was playing it was consistent. It sounded like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Even if I took my left hand away, that's what I'm actually doing. So it's always constant, and that's what you have to try and do. So practice these slowly, firstly, and these techniques I didn't learn them overnight. I've been practicing arpeggios and still do all the sweep picking for years and years since I've started playing. That's about 8 years now, and there's a lot of tears in actually learning them, like playing them wrong, try to hold the chord in, because when you put distortion on playing them like that, you'll hear how bad it does sound. And no one's really impressed with it, you know. A bad strum, really, that's what it sounds like. So get used to playing each note separate, and then pick up the speed. And then once you've learned 3 strings, you've got the technique for 3 strings, then move up to 4-string arpeggios. And for this I'll use the first inversion of D minor plus the second inversion together, up an octave, so I've got, I'm doing groups of 4 there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, over the 4 strings. And it's the same thing, down, 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 up, and it's a pull off, up, up, and then back on 1, you're down, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And I'll play this fast to show you how you can play groups of 4 arpeggios on 4 strings. And the same thing there, each finger came off as I go through it, pull off, and that way the notes don't bleed into each other and you hear a constant motion. The next arpeggio shape would be use the root position, the first inversion, second inversion, so do it up an octave, and that'll be 5-string arpeggio. So once you've got the technique for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, evenly, move on to 5. And when you do 5-string arpeggios like this, it creates an uneven number of notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. So it's like on 10, and it's like, so you're doing groups of 5, which feels uneasy. But this is a technique to, so you go down, 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 then up. And so, and play that with distortion. Same thing there, make sure it's even, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. And the next thing I like to do is, once I've practiced the basic arpeggios, I like to stretch them out. So I'll start again by doing that same technique over 5 strings, so using the second inversion, starting on an A and then going up that shape. And this is probably my favourite 5-string arpeggio shape. I use this on nearly every Adastra song, so I'm quite fond of it because it's got a nice even flow to it. So what you do, you strike the A note here and hammer onto those shapes so that you point A to A then. So hammer, with distortion that sounds like. As you can hear, that's when it starts sounding like sort of flashy guitar when it's. But the main thing you try to do, always practice slowly to get the, well, make it even and consistent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then you're on to 6-string sweeping arpeggios, which gets pretty hard because you're always hammering on and sort of picking through them. But you do the first inversion of the D minor starting on the low. So there's an F, F, A, D, F, A, D, F, A. And then play this fast. And then the final is the root position on 6 strings, so that'll be D, F, A, D, F, A, D, F, A. Then you've got full 6-string arpeggios using D minor triad. This is also a favourite of mine because I know, just like well, you can get a lot of notes in a short amount of time there. So you go down, hammer, down, hammer, down, 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 and then up, pull off, down, 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 pull off, down, pull off. And that's 6-string minor arpeggios.